Welcome to the Solid Verbal.
The Solid Verbal.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
I've heard so many players say, well, I want to be happy. You want to be happy for a day? Eat a steak.
It's that woo-woo!
And now, Dan and Ty.
Welcome back to the Solid Verbal, boys and girls. Ty Hildebrand here. Dan Rubenstein way the heck over there. We'll get to him in just a second. You can find us at solidverbal@gmail.com. We're also on sbnation.com and on iTunes at itunes.com/solidverbal. Go there, subscribe, rate, review, tell your friends. We're also on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat and anywhere else that I neglected to mention because we're all over these here interwebs. Dan Rubenstein, where are you right now exactly?
I am in Yogi Roth's kitchen.
What?
I am in the Pac-12 networks and Elite 11s and all sorts of documentaries. Life in a Walk, Yogi Roth, his kitchen in Los Angeles.
I'm looking at a picture that you just sent me.
Yeah.
Of your recording setup. What exactly is going on here? Can you explain this to me?
I'm sitting at a breakfast nook. I have stacked the microphone that I do use. This is my home microphone on top of Yogi's Magic Bullet and some sort of vitamin powder.
Okay, well, you better hope that there's not a gust of wind because that thing's going down.
Yeah. No, it's very fragile. But aren't we all, Ty?
Yeah.
Aren't we all?
Especially after what's going on in Oregon and Notre Dame circles, right?
Yeah, well, or what's going on in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, we'll get to that, right?
We should get a breaking news sound for something that happened going on like 77 hours ago.
Yeah, this is great. This is one of those joys of on-demand audio, right?
Yep, it'll happen.
It was great because we recorded at 11 o'clock-ish last Sunday. We hit stop around 12:15.
Yep.
I'm mid-edit, and you text me, oh, hey, Les Miles. Oh, hey, Brian Van Gorder.
Yep.
Sometimes when it rains, it pours, man.
You know what it is,
Last
Ty?
Sunday was one of those times.
Here's what it is. What we did in recording early and scooping the Les Miles story is we built the tension. What are Dan and Ty going to say about Les Miles? And that's nothing on Monday, nothing on Tuesday. Here we are on Wednesday. Maybe you'll listen Wednesday night, but we're stretching it, Ty. We're keeping people on the edge of their seats, and that's what we do here. We're professionals.
We are professionals. Shall we delve right in?
Yeah, let's jump.
We have breaking news! Not so breaking news!
Boop, 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 boop.
Les Miles got fired. Did you hear, Dan?
Yeah, I did hear.
Yeah, Ed Orgeron, formerly the defensive line coach, formerly the interim coach of USC, formerly the coach of Mississippi. He has now been installed as the interim head guy down there. After he was installed, reportedly, he decided to make the move to get rid of Cam Cameron as well. So Les Miles, Cam Cameron out the door.
I don't know if it was his move or I think maybe Cam was a package deal with Les Miles.
Whatever it was, they're both gone.
Yeah.
And now with this news comes a whole avalanche. I got to say, of Tom Herman coaching rumors, Dan.
Yeah, congratulations, Ty. We're all very proud of you.
I finally got my Michigan State disrespect.
You really went out on a limb there.
You got disrespect. I got Tom Herman coaching rumors. From this point forward, it's going to be a gunfight at sundown.
I've got bad news for you, though, Ty, as it relates to fantasy things. Did you see who is transferring out of Bama?
No. Who?
Blake Barnett.
Oh, no. I missed it.
Blake Barnett is transferring effective immediately. I think he's already off campus. And guess what Blake Barnett is associated with?
Oh, God.
People on websites freaking out over a Southern quarterback's girlfriend.
Oh, don't even.
And it's already happened. I've already seen the tweets. Here's Blake Barnett's girlfriend. I think she's a professional surfer. So you're just canceling yourself out with your excitement.
So this isn't the first time we heard about this. We heard about it a couple weeks ago, and I marked it down. But if it's going to be something that comes up again, then, what's fair is fair.
Yep. Listen,
wow.
Good Lord's doing me some favors. The fantasy Lord loves me, loves him some Rubenstein.
All right, so here's the deal.
Okay, let's talk Les Miles. Yeah,
Les Miles is out. We speculated on our show on Sunday that if he was only going to be putting up like 16, 17 points a week, what's really the point in keeping him around, right? If that's the best you can do and offense is a problem, then maybe it just makes more sense to get rid of him now. Well, they did. Now begins this whole speculation about what does LSU do next. The two big names that have bubbled up to the surface, as you might imagine, Tom Herman, who's atop everyone's wish list, and of course Jimbo Fisher, who has some history with LSU. There are some other names that have been thrown about.
Do you remember Jimbo Fisher's final game at LSU?
How dare you bring up Jamarcus Russell?
I think that was the final game. Jamarcus Russell just launching.
Just throwing deep.
Good times. Yeah.
The more things change, the more they stay the same at Notre Dame.
That's true. Jamarcus Russell, he was reading the Notre Dame defense years ahead of time.
He was. It was a bit telegraphed. What is a likely scenario here? If you're LSU, who gets that LSU job?
I think Jimbo is probably more likely than Tom Herman at this point. If Jimbo is in fact available, if it's a situation where LSU can go after Jimbo in earnest, because he was talked about last year and has a deeper level of experience, I would say, within the SEC. And Florida State doesn't sell out every game. It's one of those things that people might question, like, why would Jimbo leave Florida State? He's won a national championship there. Well, he has the leverage once winning a national championship to go wherever he wants. And he's done great things there. But LSU, I would argue, is a bigger stage. I don't know if it's a better program, but a bigger stage week in and week out. Just they're going to be playing more network TV games, more primetime games than Florida State will when Florida State's playing Boston College and Pitt and Syracuse. No offense to any of those schools, but those are realities as it stands now. And I think his personal life may dictate that Jimbo might be ready for a change in location. So I don't think it's far-fetched. And if he's available and he's willing, I think that's the move. And it's a very simple move at that.
One of the names, our friend Aaron Torres over at Fox Sports, he posted the Bovada odds. And I was on a radio show yesterday that some people actually called into. Verballers, thank you for listening and calling in.
Nice.
He posted this list of odds according to Bovada. At 12-1 is Lane Kiffin.
I saw these, yeah.
That would be cool.
That'd be wonderful.
Just from a storyline, greedy podcasting perspective, the master versus apprentice that could ensue between Lane Kiffin and Nick Saban at some point like early next November, from a storyline perspective, that would be cool. I don't know who people who aren't fans of either team would root for in that scenario because I don't know if either is that rootable, but Kiffin versus Saban would be a pretty cool storyline.
I don't believe it'll happen, but it would be wonderful. I mean, quarterback development and recruiting. All right.
Yeah.
That's one thing that they didn't have.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Some of the other names in this list, just to throw them out there, I'm sure we're going to talk about this for the rest of the year, but Larry Fedora is a name. I know Bruce Feldman threw his name out there.
Would make sense.
He's at 4-1. Willie Taggart at 6-1. Ed Orgeron has to be on the list just by virtue of being the interim guy. I mentioned Kiffin at 12-1. Also, Gary Patterson, Chip Kelly. Who knows?
I don't believe that, but yeah.
Bobby Petrino and then Art Briles, because Art Briles is going to be on every such list for the major programs.
Don't think it'll be Petrino or Briles.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah. It's a huge job. It's a huge opening. And I think per capita, the state with the most talent in the country, Louisiana, and not fighting off a Power 5 team in state. It's a great position to be in as a recruiter and head coach, albeit in the most difficult or near the most difficult division in America. Yeah. Looking at you, Big Ten West.
All right.
Looking at you.
Also fired a gentleman by the name of Brian Van Gorder.
Yeah, stage is yours, Ty.
Yeah, you may be aware of Brian Van Gorder's work at Notre Dame over the last couple seasons. It has left a lot to be desired. He came to South Bend, had a bit of a background after doing some time down at Auburn, and had some NFL experience with the NFL Falcons. He was one of the guys who had that quote unquote attacking mentality, the attacking 4-3. That was what he was going to do.
Did you just say the NFL Falcons? Because please don't edit that out.
The NFL Falcons, is that what I said?
Yeah.
Sure.
No, he had some experience in the NFL with the NFL Falcons.
That's right.
That's great.
Van Gorder did not deliver on that promise, had a lot of talent over the last couple seasons, lost it this year. Teams been giving up points left and right. This was a move that initially it was rumored that Brian Kelly's hand was forced. if you listen and parse, I think what Brian Kelly had to say, it comes into focus a little bit more that it was probably his move, that things just weren't working out.
Yeah.
It's not a move that should come as any great surprise to Notre Dame fans or just college football fans who have watched Notre Dame on the defensive side of the ball. They turn it over now to Greg Hudson. Brian Kelly has issued this broad ultimatum to players and coaches alike. Everyone's playing for their jobs. Hopefully, from a Notre Dame standpoint, they can get things back on the straight and narrow. They've got an opportunity to do so now against Syracuse to just try and start anew and rescue the season. It has not gone well through 4 weeks of college football. We're just going to see where it goes from here and beyond into 2017. That's the best Notre Dame can do.
A calm, passive mentality for this defense now that aggressive attacking has not worked.
Any other breaking news beside Blake Barnett deciding to go elsewhere?
I don't have anything in front of me. No, I think that's good.
Dan, Ty, help. I need picks of the week.
Week 5, huh?
Week 5.
Yeah.
You know how to say 5 in Spanish?
Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis. So cinco.
Cinco is correct.
Thank you. I'm bilingual.
Florida has a new AD, by the way. If administrative moves mean anything to people, it's Scott Strickland from Mississippi State.
I'm cracking my knuckles.
Here we go. Let's talk administration.
Yeah.
Also, Mike Gundy and T. Boone Pickens are not on speaking terms, which is
good.
Wonderful.
Good. Well, we're going to get to Oklahoma State here momentarily. I was looking over the slate of games, though, because I've enjoyed the fact that people have now written in and they've asked for our opinion regarding the quote-unquote window of opportunity.
True.
Okay, this is our thing, because you're engaged to be married. I already am. Many of our ballers are in a similar situation. The window of opportunity is that time during which you could go and, do normal human things with your friends and loved ones, and you can still be back in time to see some meaningful college football action. I think this week you got until about 3:30.
Okay.
But, if you get home late, if you want to grab dinner and a movie, and if you don't get back till 6:30, I think that's acceptable. Just be home by 8. Be home by 8, and everything is forgiven. You'll see all you need to see for week 5.
Bad news, Ty. I'm on the West Coast recording this, and pulling up the schedule gives me all Pacific time, so I have to do math on the fly.
No!
Yeah, so you're talking about the noon game, so you want people to skip Texas Oklahoma State if they don't really care about points. Yes.
Yeah.
Florida Vandy if they care about points.
If they care about their well-being, yeah.
Yeah, so to start the day with North Carolina, Florida State at, hold on, quick math, 3:30. Wisconsin, Michigan at 3:30. Tennessee, Georgia at 3:30. Okay, good. I think I nailed it, Ty.
Yeah, you got that.
Okay,
you lived out there most of your adult life.
Yeah, Ty, once I left, Pacific time has done nothing but taunt me and give me nightmares. So I'm doing everything I can to avoid it.
All right, so 8 East, 5 West is your cutoff. That's your deadline. But we would urge you on the East Coast to get back by 3:30 if you can, by 12:30 on the West Coast. Let's start here. High noon on ABC. Oklahoma State at home, a 3-point favorite over Texas. This game, Dan, again, it needs to be mentioned. It features our Lord and Savior, Shane Buechele.
Yep. Yeah.
This one here, this goes out to the kind gentleman on Twitter who complained that we didn't give enough time to Baylor and Oklahoma State last week.
Yeah.
I apologize. Dan and I
have a really good reason.
We had some emotional issues that we needed to work through.
That too.
Okay. Rather than pay like $100 to sit on a couch and stare at the ceiling and work it out, we chose that show to vent our emotions. So I apologize, sir.
I also will add that whenever I see that there is a weather delay in any game, I just consider it canceled. And I just move on with my game watching.
Yeah, what's the weather situation in Stillwater this weekend?
Let's look it up. I don't have it at my forefront of my frontal lobe, but
you look that up. I'll get moving here.
Okay. What's the spread in this game?
Spread is 3.
Saturday, 69, partly sunny. And to that I say, that's Stillwater, Minnesota.
Okay, that's
Stillwater,
different.
Oklahoma. Weather is on Saturday, 79, partly sunny. So we should be good to go. No weather delays expected.
All right. This is a battle of two great pass defenses, Dan.
You like that? You like that tweet?
What were I saw you tweeted this out. What were the stats you dug up?
111th and 115th.
Yeah. That's eating good in the neighborhood right there.
And then so when I see those things, we're like, well, they're both going to pass on each other. You move on to other stats to see if there's any tell. And they're like, oh, they're both bad at this. They're both bad at that. Texas, I think, is a little bit better in the red zone. I don't have that stat in front of me. So you're really looking deep. But yeah, this game's going to have a lot of points. Two good quarterbacks, Shane Buechele, Mason Rudolph. Oklahoma State has developed quite the disruptive player up front. And I like saying his name so much that I generally screw it up, but I think it's Cole Walterscheid.
Okay.
That's a real name.
Yeah.
But he's disrupting things up front for Oklahoma State. So that could be a difference if they're able to force some longer passing downs, get in front of some balls. But no, this one's gonna be 52-49. It's gonna be great.
Bit of a shootout. You want me to play it?
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, this has shootout written all over it. I hate to give you more fantasy points, and you don't get fantasy points, real ones for this, but I have to reference Notre Dame here, and not because I want to. I actually shouldn't even say their name. I'm just going to say my team.
Huh?
All right. The good news about my team starting 1-3 is that you can now indirectly use how much they suck to help guide you with other picks. So, like, what I've been doing ain't working, so I'm just going to try this methodology.
The disappointment North Star.
My team's defense is not any good. And
Same.
it enhanced, I think, what people thought of Michigan State. And we saw how that went last week against a real defense in Wisconsin. And we even saw it a little bit last week with Texas when they played Cal. Or I guess that was 2 weeks ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
We saw it. Now, Oklahoma State, to this point in the season, you could argue that Oklahoma State is definitely the strongest opponent on the Texas schedule. And if I'm going to follow that logic chain, the inclination there is to go with Oklahoma State to win this game outright. I do feel like it's going to be a shootout. I'm interested in seeing how Oklahoma State and their line holds up against a Texas offense that can pound them. They're going to try to pound you.
I'm willing to believe that Oklahoma State is Prairie Cal.
Cal.
Yeah, throw for a bunch of yards. Don't defend anybody. Yeah, Prairie Cal.
Well, I want to see if Texas can pound the rock against Oklahoma State, because if they can control clock and pound the football up front, I think that's something that bodes well for them.
Yes. Right. Texas should be able to run the ball some. Oklahoma State's defense is not particularly good.
It's not particularly good, but like we saw last week against Baylor, a team especially that can burn you on the edges, they can use the spacing to gash you up the middle.
Right.
Oklahoma State did a pretty good job there. And if you make Texas one-dimensional, I think that's a pretty big win for the Cowboys.
I can't stop thinking about, and I'll make a pick momentarily, but your comparison about what Notre Dame and what they allow offenses to do, like who are our seasoning teams that like their defense is just that seasoning that really brings out the meatiness of the offense?
Yeah. Well,
we'll come up with a master list, but both of our teams are both definitely on that list.
We used to have this joke about Texas and their run defense, the cure for the common run game.
Yeah,
I need to dig that sound up for Notre Dame.
Okay, so Texas, Oklahoma State, it's in Stillwater. This series has gone back and forth these past few years. Oklahoma State wins with the weird ending last year. And by weird, I mean outrageous. So it is a revenge spot on the road for Texas with a true freshman quarterback. I think, given that Texas probably has a good claim to winning also the Cal game because of weird circumstances, I'm going to take Texas here. I think a week after the Baylor game, Texas coming off of... Did Texas play last week?
Texas was on a bye last week.
Texas on a bye. So off a bye, going against a susceptible defense, I'm going to go with Shane Buechele and the talented backfield he has to win this game outright. I said 52-49. I will go 49-45. I'll lower it a little bit.
All right. Give me Oklahoma State. I'm going to trust in Mason Rudolph. Maybe more so than anyone other than Junkyard Jim Washington, my boy.
Love Junkyard Jim Washington.
Yeah. Oklahoma State 35-31. Give me the Cowboys at home.
Wow. Okay.
3:30 on CBS. We've got Tennessee now, a 3.5-point road favorite against Georgia. I mentioned this before, but big thanks to Robbie in Georgia He called in yesterday when I was on the local ESPN affiliate here, and he wanted to talk about the dogs. He wanted to talk dogs, and it sounded like he was feeling a little bit downtrodden because of the loss last week. What was it, 45-14? Something of that nature. His point was, is 9-3 the best case scenario for Georgia at this point? And I said to him, look, 9-3 is doable. And in the SEC East, hell, 10-2 is doable. Because Ole Miss is a good team. You got to be better if you're Georgia on both sides of the football. And that's kind of like a cop-out answer, but it's true. The defense up front has not done its part. I referenced it countless times now. The havoc rate, which is like my favorite stat ever. It's a measure of how good your defense is at making plays or sacking quarterbacks or breaking up passes, all that stuff.
Tackling for loss, yeah.
100th in the nation is Georgia's defense as a whole. Along the line, 113th in the nation. That's even worse than my team.
Yeah, so an above average version of Georgia, not an above average team, but an above average version where they're able to make incremental improvements where it needs to be made. And that's everywhere. That's Jacob Eason completing half of his passes, 55% of his passes. That's Nick Chubb having holes to run through, seeking contact and destroying people. Isaiah McKenzie continuing his success when he's able to get the ball. Yes. 9-3 is they'll lose to Tennessee because even an above average version of this Georgia team is not as good as Tennessee. Florida, who knows what the quarterback situation is going to be. Luke Del Rio appears to be week to week and is sort of dressing at this point and running through some drills, but it's Auburn, it's Louisiana Lafayette, it's Georgia Tech, it's Kentucky, it's Vandy, it's South Carolina. So yeah, Georgia could be that rare team that has a better record than it actually is, but after last week, I don't know how much that means.
Yeah. Well, I just think it's an interesting matchup now with Tennessee's offensive line because Tennessee's O-line has been a bit of a flaming pizza box so far. Yes,
sir.
So you got a matchup here between an offensive line that is underwhelmed and a defensive line that is underwhelmed. I'm curious to see what ends up happening there.
Letdown potential for Tennessee?
Potentially. This isn't as big a game, but it's still a pretty big one.
Road favorites coming after an emotional win.
I find it hard to believe that they wouldn't be up for this game, though.
Yeah, I think they'll be up for it. It's just, it takes a toll. Comeback win like they had last week.
I just think this is a strange point spread.
Take those points, Ty. Be the saucy gentleman you were born to be.
I know. I'm not high on Tennessee, but the second half last week was a pretty adamant statement about what Tennessee can be when it flips the switch. And that Georgia loss,
well with Georgia, yeah,
they do. That Georgia loss against Ole Miss was a statement in a sense as well. So I'm going to go ahead and say that my expectation here is that Tennessee can pound the rock with Jalen Hurd and Alvin Kamara, and that they control the game. The defense is still super legit, probably better than what Georgia saw on the Ole Miss side a week ago. So let's say starts off slugfesty, ends up as a crock-potting. And I think Tennessee glides and pulls away, uses some Georgia mistakes to win and cover. I like them 34-14.
All right. I think it's going to be a letdown spot for Tennessee. I think they still win, and I think they barely cover, but I don't think it's a full-on crock-potting. So I'm going to say 27-20 Tennessee. Front door cover.
God, I love that.
Yeah.
All right. I have an important question for you before we go any further.
Hit me.
Have you thought about what kind of suit you're going to wear for your wedding?
Nonstop.
Yeah. Do you have any ideas? Any kind of fit you're going for?
So a fit, slim.
Yeah. I went slim. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Listen, you gotta form the body. Thinking possibly a darker navy.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm going bow tie. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to go tux.
Yeah,
Maybe
I like
navy
the suit. I like the suit. I'm not a huge bow tie guy. I think a nice sharp tie gets your point across.
Expertly tailored.
Sure.
Haven't thought about the tie too much. Sharp looking shoes. But really, it's about making me look good, Ty. And I believe you have a recommendation.
I do have a recommendation.
I'm ready for it.
I want you to consider this, okay? Everybody looks better in a suit. On your wedding, you really need to emphasize those curves, Dan. You
Got
need to
'em.
showcase that body. I know you're
Actually, I
working
don't
out.
really have too many of them anymore.
So listen, Indochino,
I'm ready.
I love the name. One of the largest made-to-measure menswear brands out there. They make it easy for men of all shapes and sizes to get a great-fitting, high-quality suit and shirts at an incredible price. I am not kidding. I saw this deal. I did like 4 takes on this just to make sure that I had it right. Here's how you do it. Visit Indochino.com. That's INDOCHINO.com. Or you can drop by one of their 9 North American showrooms. Once you're there, either online or at the brick and mortar location, pick from hundreds of fabrics and patterns. Choose your customizations from lapels to pleats to jacket linings and much, much more. All you got to do then is kick back and relax and get ready to step into Dan Rubenstein. Are you ready?
I'm always ready.
It is the best, most stylish suit you've ever worn, and they're going to get it to you in just 4 weeks.
I like hearing that.
So if you're not sure what you want to do, if you want to take some extra time figuring out bow tie, no bow tie, I need 4 weeks and you can get your Indochino suit. Wow. Here is what's really cool. This week, if you're listening, our listeners can get any premium Indochino suit for just $389 at Indochino.com.
Okay.
All you got to do is enter solid at checkout. 50% off the regular price for a made-to-measure premium suit, Dan. I bought my suit for my wedding. It was more than $389.
Okay.
Suits are expensive. You want a nice suit, they're expensive.
That is true.
Shipping is free. Your satisfaction is guaranteed, or you get your money back. So you really got nothing to lose here if you're looking for a suit. Indochino.com, INDOCHINO.com. Promo code SOLID. Any premium suit, just $389 and free shipping. You don't got to worry about badly fitting suits or expensive trips to the tailor ever again. Look like $1 million at Indochino.com, Dan.
Done.
All right. Next up, we are going to Michigan.
Michigan.
3:30 ABC, Michigan. The Wolverines now. Hear me out, Dan. 10.5 points is the point spread.
Ooh, big number.
It's a big number. Double digits at home against Wisconsin. I believe that Michigan's the better team. I believe that they will win this football game.
I believe that we will win. I believe that we will win. Isn't that a thing? It's not like the U.S.
That's a soccer
national team. Yeah.
I just got FIFA last night. I'm excited.
Okay. Michigan, Wisconsin. 2 quarterbacks that we like, but I don't think love. Yes.
Yeah.
2 defenses that I think, especially now that Michigan's is healthy, we really love.
Yep.
A running game for Michigan that has come together very nicely and improved over last season. And Wisconsin's running game is taking a step back, even in wins, even in impressive wins.
Fair
Wisconsin's
to say.
running game has taken a step back, and that's totally okay because they're winning without it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I am struggling to reconcile a point spread. That's my thing. I don't know if we see the same Alex Hornibrook that we saw last week. My suspicion is that we don't.
Okay.
Because it's just a different animal. We still don't know a whole lot about Michigan State's defense. Mm-hmm. We like to think that Michigan State's defense is pretty good, but they gave up a lot of yards through the air to Notre Dame. They gave up a lot of points to Wisconsin, which isn't something we all saw coming. Right. So I have questions about how good the defense was that they saw a week ago. And it just feels like regardless of who Wisconsin plays from this point forward, Michigan is a totally different beast on the defensive side of the football.
Yeah, to me, it feels like if you're creating the perfect team to beat Michigan, you're creating Ohio State, right? Talented, can spread the ball out, can tax Michigan over the top a little bit. The safeties struggled against Colorado early on, but they're certainly healthier. I don't feel like if you are going to be a lineup and beat Michigan on the ground at the line of scrimmage, you better be Stanford. You better be Alabama, because Michigan's front is experienced and they have a great defensive coordinator who's stubborn. I don't think to a fault. I think it's a good thing that he's stubborn because this team is really good at doing what they do. But if you are going to stress Michigan out, I think it's going to be by opening up the offense, testing them deep, and having talented pass catchers to stress out Michigan's secondary, very good secondary. I don't check any of those boxes when I think about Wisconsin. So I think Wisconsin is basically Michigan light, which is also to say they're a really good team and probably a top 15 team. That is definitely not meant as an insult or as a pejorative. I don't think they're built to beat Michigan. That was very difficult to say, Ty.
Yeah.
As they're constituted now with a young quarterback without the pass catching options that some other teams on Michigan's schedule perhaps do have.
Yeah. I mean, look, if Wisconsin wins this game, or even if they lose and score like 28 points, hand to God, I will pledge that I believe in this Wisconsin offense. I am not there yet. There yet. Michigan's been great at all three levels of their defense. They're going to generate a ton of pressure. They're going to force some mistakes. That's what I'd watch for here, is Michigan getting pressure on Hornibrook. If they are, I think that's something you can use as a very early indicator as to how this game's going to go. That said, again, the point spread. I come back to it. My gut is to say that Wisconsin, just because of the defense, finds a way to keep it close. So I'm going to pick Michigan to cover.
Yeah.
Every instinct I've had so far this year has been wrong. So I'm going to go George Costanza opposite and assume that the opposite has to be right. I'm going to take Michigan to cover the spread to win this one like 34-17.
Yeah, I have Michigan winning 28-13. I think Michigan and Ann Arbor is not a place that a team coming off of a big win it's not going to be a letdown spot because Wisconsin's going to take Michigan seriously. But I just don't think it's a good matchup to come off of that kind of win for. So yeah, I think Michigan, I think it's relatively close, but Michigan ultimately pulls away relatively late. So 28-13 Wolverines. Go blue.
All right. Then we go to 8 p.m. Ooh.
This is up to 2 points. It was 1 point earlier in the week.
Yeah, 8 p.m. This is the big tamale. ABC, Louisville, 2-point road favorite at Clemson. Dan, Clemson's got the top S&P Plus defense in the country.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, Louisville's averaging 63.5 points per game. Clearly, they are the top S&P Plus offense in the country. We've got strength versus strength here. This is clearly far and away, head and shoulders above every other game. This is the game of the week. How you feeling?
So I've been thinking about tamales during that entire prelude. I can't decide if I like tamales.
It's been a long day for you, hasn't it?
I like the idea of tamales, but I think the success rate's like 15%.
All right, so if it's not a tamale,
right?
What is this then?
I don't know. It's a kahuna.
The big kahuna. I like that.
It's the big kahuna.
Yeah.
So Louisville probably should be the favorites because they are playing offense perhaps better than anybody's doing anything in college football. They are putting up, I think, 10.5 yards per play on first down. They're scoring 63 points a game. They've been in the red zone 27 times this young season already, about a little over 6 times a game. They blew out what we now consider, once we saw Florida State bounce back nicely, at the very least, a good Florida State team.
Yeah.
Blowing out a good team is basically the most impossible thing to do in college football. So, every reason in the world to love Louisville. Clemson has the better defense, and they're playing at home, and they have the more seasoned quarterback, not necessarily the most talented in terms of the pure athletic ability, because Lamar Jackson is otherworldly. Deshaun Watson's pretty damn close. And if you're going to start a team with any quarterback in the country right now, there's a very good case that Deshaun Watson is that quarterback. He's at home. He's in a big spot. Louisville's soaring, but I think I'm going to go with the defense and the home team and the team that's been there before. And I talked about this game on Easy Call earlier today, wherever the hell I was earlier today. It's been a long day, Ty.
Yeah.
I hate the idea of picking against Lamar Jackson in this Louisville offense. But if there is a team that is built specifically to stop an offense like this, what Clemson is able to do up front with those ridiculous defensive tackles, with the speed at which their linebackers are playing already, I am going to go Clemson here to not only cover this game, they're not going to lose by 1. I think they win it outright, and I'm going to call it 31-28.
Wow, that's a bold play, Dan.
Yeah, and I think it could even be lower scoring because Clemson's offense has not been consistent. So if Clemson is going to win, maybe it's 27-24, maybe it's 24-23, somewhere in that range. I either team scores more than 35.
Okay. That's a bold statement. I do agree with you to the extent that Clemson's defense is going to do a better job against Lamar Jackson than Florida State. In hindsight, that's not saying a whole lot. Right? Because Louisville scored 63 points against Florida State. But think about the madness of that statement for a second. If I told you that at the beginning of the year, if I said Clemson's going to defense Louisville better than Florida State, you would have said to yourself, that's pretty good because Florida State's a good team with a talented young defense.
Experience, yeah.
You wouldn't have thought back then the way you do now. Florida State gave up, again, 63 points. It's not going to take a whole lot more for Clemson to do better. Realistically, though, how many points can they hold Louisville to? Your answer is somewhere in the 20s. I'm not sure I'm there yet.
Okay. So what do you have as a score?
I'm thinking Louisville wins like 38-30. You know,
wow.
even if Clemson provides more of a speed bump, I still don't know if they hold Louisville under 38 points. They're firing on all cylinders at this point. My question actually is, how many points can Clemson score? Because granted, they play at Auburn, and Auburn's got a pretty good defense, but they've had other opportunities this season where they've sort of disappointed on the offensive side of the ball. And I'm trying to figure out like what's going on here. Why haven't they hit that next gear yet? Because we know Deshaun Watson is capable. We know the run game's capable. We know the passing game is capable with the weapons they have out wide in Mike Williams and Artavis Scott. Maybe Deshaun Watson just starts a little bit slow. It's not a slump. Maybe he'll come out of it. I'm not confident in that it's going to be this game that he comes out of it because it still is a decent enough Louisville defense. So despite all the respect I have for Clemson, I got to ride the hot hand. Clemson might score 40 a week by week 7, but I am not confident this is the week where they flip it into high gear. So give me Louisville 38-30 on the road.
Listen, if I'm going to take a team playing Louisville, I'm going to take them with the War Daddy, Christian Wilkins. War Daddy, Christian Wilkins. Next game.
Let's go back in time. Friday Night Lights here in the Pac-12. Big game.
Yes.
The Washington Huskies with their first real test at home against Stanford. They are a 3-point, a field goal favorite. Dan, this game must be a great source of internal conflict for you.
Oh, I know. I do love both of these teams.
You know, one corner you got your beloved Stanford Cardinal. In the other, we got a team you've already christened as 15-0 national champions. What do you do, Dan? What do you do?
Can I call an expert?
If you want to. Go ahead.
Yogi. Can you come up?
Literally calling an expert.
Yeah, I'm calling an expert.
This is cheating.
All right. You got to get cozy to the microphone. It's stacked on your vitamin powder and your magic bullet. Yeah. We're talking Stanford, Washington. I'm going to give you, this will go in your left ear. Yeah.
Wow, I love this right here.
Are you guys
so
snuggled up
we're
next
splitting
to each
earbuds. Oh yeah, we absolutely are.
Okay.
We're going to play a game with Yogi. Ty, are you there?
I'm here. Yeah.
Okay. Yogi, say hi to Ty.
What's up, Ty?
What's going on, man?
I feel your pain after last weekend, the Pitt's loss. I listened to your preview of the pod and the post from last weekend, and my heart broke as well, man.
Proud Pitt Panther.
Yep.
Yogi Roth, H2P. Maybe the only pass defense worse than Notre Dame's at this point. They're going to get better. I feel good about Pitt improvement. I feel good about it. Number 5 rush D, number 119 pass D.
Yeah.
Brian Van Gorder is available.
That's true. Brian Van Gorder is available. We're going to talk Stanford, Washington. And we're going to play a game with Yogi. Ty, we did not plan this.
No.
So we're going to give you various aspects of this game. You've studied a game a little. You're not an expert. You're not calling this game.
Right.
The game we're going to play is rips it or doesn't rip it.
Love this game.
Okay. Copyright Yogi Roth. Patent pending. Let's start with the home team, Washington. Jake Browning rips it, does not rip it.
Rips it.
Why does he rip it?
He sees the field extremely cleanly.
Okay.
And his deep ball accuracy he's worked on. He's gotten the ball, call it getting the ball up and down. Like he's turning the ball over on deep balls now, where a year ago he wasn't.
Interesting. Okay. So he's accurate on his deep balls, and he was actually accurate last year, and he's improved that this year. The Washington offensive line took a step forward last week. Levon Coleman had a nice game, but Myles Gaskin struggled a little bit. Do you believe in this Washington offensive line as a ripping it squad against a pretty fierce Stanford defensive front?
No.
Does not rip it.
No.
Solomon Thomas, I think he's the best defensive lineman in the country.
Wow.
Because he can move all over. You watch, I just got done breaking down all their games, and he plays the 3-tech. He has played the nose before. He plays the end. He plays the 5 technique. I mean, he's a first-round draft pick. And he's got a shot to go to the Heisman. I mean,
true.
I'm going to be bummed if he's not there, because I will be there.
He covered the spread in that game single-handedly. That's interesting because Stanford's secondary beat up, so they're going to need a huge performance up front to sort of limit the time Jake Browning has.
I'm also going to say this, Dan. I talked about this game being a source of internal conflict for you.
Yeah.
But I've met Yogi. Anyone who's met Yogi can attest to the fact that he's a very positive, optimistic guy.
That's true.
For him to say something not rips it, I'd imagine is
start worrying.
Rip it is always favored in the Yogi Roth.
A great call. I just want to play by your rules.
This is some conflict for you now.
This is true. Okay. So Stanford on offense, big struggle fest last week against UCLA. Ryan Burns doesn't move the ball till the very end of the game, going on the road, hostile place, Husky Stadium. Ryan Burns in the Stanford pass game, because we're not even going to bother to ask you about Christian McCaffrey, but the pass game coming off of a sluggish week against UCLA and now a short week, taking on a pretty tough Washington defense built to stop an offense like this. Does Stanford's passing game rip it right now?
Well, to Ty's point, if something does not rip it, that means something on the other side of the ball does rip it.
Ooh.
That's like Newton's law, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Even it out.
So no, to answer the question, it will not rip it, because I think UW's secondary is the best in the entire conference, and I'd argue in the country, top to bottom.
Sure.
They're so long. They're so athletic. They don't screw up on film. They fit the run so well. They understand spacing and alignment of receivers, route combinations. And they're really fun to watch on tape.
Hold on, I'm writing all of this down to send it to Brady Hoke. I need to send it to Brady Hoke.
But I will say, you didn't ask me this question.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do this preview.
Please do.
On the Pac-12 Network on Thursday night. Sports Report show is...
Watch it.
It's the interior defensive line of UW that is going to allow
big
UW
bodies
to win or not. Big bodies, but very similar bodies to Stanford. If you look at
Elijah Qualls,
Greg Gaines, very similar to Ilianku and
Danny Shelton recently.
47. Why am I blanking on his name for UCLA?
Vanderdoss.
Eddie Vanderdoss.
Eddie V.
Similar types of guys. Tack McKinley, similar to Joe Mathis. So that game is going to be one right there, and that's to me why Stanford, even if they don't have to rip it in the throw game, they just have to complete critical downs and distances, which clearly they've proven a week ago on the most critical drive of their season.
Let me ask a question, guys.
Please do.
Washington, to me, kind of feels like it is Stanford, only with a lot more toys on offense and defense. Is that fair?
I don't know if they have the receivers. No, I think they've got a really talented quarterback and backfield, but John Ross is really good.
No, I think the receivers are actually pretty talented. Chico McClatcher, he's a real dude. That is true. I might even
made up name, real dude.
I might take him over John Ross because of all the things he can do. John Ross, he's still learning. He hasn't played a lot.
That's true. He's not all last year.
Up a bunch. He gets hit, and sometimes he'll hobble to the sideline. At times, you're not sure how durable he is. Dante Pettis is as good of a route runner as there is, outside of Gabe Marks in the Pac-12 North.
Connection to Chris Peterson, Austin Pettis' cousin. How about that time?
Wow, knowledge bomb.
I actually enjoy the wideouts of UW. I really think this game's going to be legitimately all up front. And I don't think, Ty, I wouldn't agree with that they're Stanford because they're not. Their run game isn't as committed as Stanford's. Now, they're unique in their formations and personnel groupings and shifts and motions, but they know that that's the weakness of the team. If there's a kink in their armor, and I think that's it, and that's why they may be a year early to absolutely.
That's fair. Here's my other question for you guys.
Yeah.
I have this little thing, Yogi. I know you listen, but I have to find goofy little things to amuse myself. I've been trying to find games this year where it feels like one team could end up with 19 points. And it's actually happened a couple times.
Ooh, that is true.
It should have happened. Rule. It should have happened in the BYU thing. It should have happened in the LSU game if there were 2 more seconds on the clock. This to me feels like it could be a 19-pointer for Stanford.
In a win or a loss.
Yeah.
I think that's all right.
I think it's the two best. Well, it's the two of the top coaches in the country. We'd all agree with.
Yes.
And they're so well coached. They don't. I'm tracking a new stat this year. It's not a new stat, but for me, it is unforced errors, and they don't make them. They're not doing what your team did, Dan. I called them twice this year.
It's for both of us. Shots. Your team. It's me and Ty. Continue.
Yeah, both of your teams, or even Pitt in my team.
Sure.
We're not. neither one of those teams hurt themselves. So it's just going to be like execution style.
I like that stat.
Who's it going to be on a 3rd and short, and Elijah Qualls and Greg Gaines are going to get double teamed in the power. Who's going to be able to hold their gap so Azim Victor or Keyshawn Beery can make a play? And if they can, are they going to be able to avoid the block or take on the block by the guard when he pulls? Like, that's the kind of game. And that's why I think Stanford has an edge, because you just watch them and they're consistent 4 yards. Like, a good play for them is McCaffrey's patience, and he's going to burst, and he's going to get 3.5, 3.5, 3.5, 3.5, first down, move the chains. And clearly they're cool with that style of play.
Here's the wild card. Husky Stadium on a Friday night. Does it rip it?
It rips it so hard. It rips it harder than Watson has ripped it all year long, and I've been there twice.
Oh, definitely.
And it's going to rip it harder than, and I love Sac Lake City, but it's going to rip it harder than Rice Eccles, because this fan base is insane. I mean, they really are. And finally, like they had it a couple years ago. I think game day might even have been there when UW played Oregon and Sark was coaching there. Like, there was a lot of hype. This trumps that. No doubt. I mean, this is the excitement being there. And I was there 2 weeks ago calling a game.
And the South is kind of a mess. The Pac-12 South is kind of a mess.
Yeah.
So this is a huge, huge matchup for perhaps the conference.
Yeah.
All right.
It's
So
going to be.
who is everybody picking? I'm going Washington 24-19 because I need to have something to amuse myself here.
I'm going to go Washington as well, just because of the home factor and the fact that Stanford comes off of a very tough effort against UCLA in a short week going on the road. So I think that factor, not that they won't be prepared in a short week, but I like a good quarterback at home with a good defense and a raucous crowd. So I'm going to go Washington 24-20. They're going to surpass the 19 tie.
Okay.
I don't know what the points are going to be, but here's the reason why I believe that the team I will pick will win.
Yes.
2 years ago, this team goes 8-5, and the world's falling apart. And they go have the greatest offseason they've had. Last year, they start the season, upset loss. Everybody talked about it all season long. The reason they're out of the college football playoff and Stanford losing to Northwestern. I think that their maturity carries them on the road. And I think Christian McCaffrey's dude qualities are so much higher than anybody else's that I've ever been around in college football. I mean, including Larry, including Reggie, Matt. Like, he just has...
Even you, Ty, including you.
Wow, that's a lot.
And I say that because I don't think Bernsey has to have, like, that type of chutzpah, if we wanted to utilize that word on the pod. I don't think he needs to have that. I think that Christian's so special that he can carry it to a certain degree, and Burns is going to have his moments, which he did, and I think they'll expand it here and there. But it's going to be an awesome game. It's easily, in my opinion, going to be the best game thus far in the Pac-12 conference from a nerding out football wise. Like, you guys are going to love it. All the people listening to the pod are going to love it because it's just going to be sound. Nobody's going to freak out. I don't think we'll see foolish penalties, and I think we'll just see a great game on Friday.
I wish I knew Ryan Burns to the point where I could call him Burnsy.
I wish I knew a Burnsy.
Elite 11.
And how about him? Like, this is a guy who could have left. In this era with, you guys talked about Blake already in this pod, like taking off. I just saw Saban had a comment about, like, if he wants to stay, he can stay, but it's about people putting the team first around here. Burnsy did that, and he learned, and he clearly wasn't the favorite or the darling that people thought.
Keller Chris everybody thought he was going to win the job. Yeah.
He just competed, man. And he just hung and hung. And a guy who went from the triple option in high school and the veer offense to mastering this offense, like, that's like learning multiple languages, not just learning one, outside of your main one. So I'm impressed with him, and he's got the capability. So I think they go in an awesome game, but I think that their experience over the last 2 years allows them to get a tight win.
This game, does it rip it or not rip it?
This game rips it. This is a double rippage. This is a full-on rip session.
Full-on rip session.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to rip for days.
Dan, imagine the people at home who put up with us for like the first 4 previews.
Yep.
They're jumping up and down, maybe driving off the roads now because they got some real analysis about 45 minutes in.
The ratings are going to be huge for this game. Even though it's not on Pac-12 Network, which you should watch the Pac-12 Network.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys watching that. I appreciate the shout out last weekend. Thank you.
Obviously.
Where do we want to go next, Dan? Now that you got a real college football analyst.
I don't know, but I don't know how long I can stay tied to Yogi on these earbuds. We're about a foot from each other's face.
All right, well, let's go here then. While you got Yogi.
You want to go Oregon Wazoo? You want to go Utah Cal? You want to go ASU USC?
Yeah, your pick.
Let's go Oregon Washington State. I want Yogi to be very honest. Yogi called the Oregon Colorado game
Hold on,
week.
I got a sound.
Oh, please. That's not funny. That's not cool. That's not
cool. A bit
cool.
of a duck hunt going on. Duck hunt.
That hurts my feelings.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a late game, right? Oh, 9:30 kick. Eastern time.
You going to be awake for this, Dan?
Yeah, we'll see. Who's to say, Ty? Who's to say? Even if I'm technically awake, am I really watching this defense?
You'll be sleeping with your eyes open.
Yeah. Okay. So Wazoo, good team, flawed. Oregon, flawed team. That is sometimes good. I think Wazoo wins this game. It's at Wazoo. They're going to throw all over Oregon, and I just am not finding a lot to grasp to like about Oregon. I'm underrating Oregon. I know, because they still have really good skill position players. They have good running backs, good receivers. And Washington State's not going to take advantage of Oregon's biggest weakness, which is up front, running the ball right at them. But I don't know. I just don't feel it. Yogi?
Yeah, this is a game that's gonna have like,
it's gonna last 4 hours.
If you were calling this game, like, you would get destroyed, because you can't win as a broadcaster calling this kind of game, because you have two teams who, one team we think we know enough about, right? In Oregon, we kind of know who they are.
Right.
Wazoo, like, I have no idea. You watch them on tape. Like, regardless of the off the field issues and Coach Leach, saying his piece about his players and student athletes and our guys coming together, are they not? When you just watch them, they're very inconsistent at best.
Yes.
That's their best.
I love hearing that.
Like Luke Falk's been inconsistent. River Craycraft has been inconsistent. Gabe Mark's been inconsistent. Even choosing when to run or pass versus the box count's been inconsistent. So I'm looking forward to watching this game because they came off a bye.
Yeah.
And they had a chance, because they got crushed in the media. And I've been on teams where this happens. And I think there's only three things that occur. You either come together as a staff and student athletes, which is ideal. You come together as student athletes and say, screw the staff, which has happened before. I've been on teams where that happens. Or you just say, screw everybody, and I'm out for myself, and I can't wait to go to the league. And I'm Gabe, and I'm the quarterback. And I don't think 2 or 3 are going to happen. Because they've had a bye week. And I'm excited to see if they put it together, because this should be a good team. This is a 9-win football team, in my opinion, when you look at their schedule coming to the year, but they don't play like it, at least through the first couple weeks. And the Ducks, man, I just think that's their reality. Like, I don't even think it's about saying they're disappointing. I think just who they are.
Yeah.
They're playing a 4-man front, and they recruited to a different defense. So you don't have guys that are just badasses up front and hitting people and playing that style of ball. They've got 5 different secondaries or 4 different secondaries in 4 different games, because they started nickel last week. So they got a young back end. Their backers outside of Troy Dye are good, but they're not elite. I don't think they've got a first, second, or third round pick on defense in this upcoming draft, or even the draft after that. Dye, I think, has that capability for sure. Maybe one of their ends. And then on offense, they've scared you with their explosiveness. And that's why I think I'd still give them the edge, because they can still do what they do best, which is rip off a 40-yarder, get to the line of scrimmage, pull it together, get another explosive play, get inside the 10, and all of a sudden it's touchdown. And they did it against Colorado, and you thought, okay, here they come. I'd expect them to bounce back. Been around that program a lot with Coach Helfrich. I think they bounce back. I think there's just too much pride in what happened with, congrats to CU, but clearly an embarrassing loss for Oregon, at least for their fan base, because nobody really understands what Colorado's grown.
Really wish you would have said that at the end of the game. Clearly, an embarrassing moment for the Ducks. You were you were much more professional.
I think for their fans. I think for the staff, you're like, we get Colorado. Anybody watches like you guys or myself, we get where Colorado's going, but fans are like, this team, backup quarterback, they have their kicker.
Right.
What the hell? Now, clearly, the last play call, I think they should have ran it or just kicked the field goal, but regardless.
Hey, Dan, I'm gonna do something for you right here.
Oh, no.
Lock of the week.
You locking it up?
Give me Oregon -1.5. I don't know. I don't think I've gotten a lock right all year.
Okay.
I've been sitting on this one for you, buddy.
Continue.
Ever since that Texas one.
All right.
Yeah.
It happens.
Either way, it's going to be ugly for whoever loses. I mean, it's bad news.
Yeah. That's true.
It really is. And it's unfortunate because fans, I think, are insane these days. Calling for... I loved you, Dan.
Yeah.
I always love you. But when you said you shouldn't fire Clay Helton, I was like, thankfully, someone with a brain is talking about this situation. You can't just start saying this shit in the media because people are spouting that stuff.
I also said LSU shouldn't fire Les Miles. So, and you know what? I don't still think they should have. Yeah. So the word about that, some people are saying Les Miles was let go when he was because they didn't want to give him a chance to redeem himself and go through the whole thing that they went through last year again. Clay Helton's coached 4 games. Chip Kelly had a player punch another player and get suspended for most of the season in his first game, and everybody was saying he wasn't ready to be a head coach. Clay Helton may not be all right for USC, but deserves a season or 2. Yeah, sure, absolutely.
I was at practice yesterday, and this is a team when you, first of all the analysts, and I'm not calling anybody out specifically, but for the general community that's been calling for Clay Helton or they should go hire whoever, did you not look at the schedule preseason? Like, who'd you think? Did you even think they were going to start 1-3? Now, I get the style of play, and I wish they went for it on fourth down against Stanford or what. I understand those.
Maybe arguments. Picking the wrong starting quarterback.
Yeah, but I think I went to a bunch of training camp practice. I would have done the same exact thing for what it's worth. I think a lot of coaches, for the right or wrong reasons, would have stuck with Max Brown, because you don't know. Like, you don't know how a guy's going to operate in a game, regardless of how explosive they can be in practice, until you get there. So who do you trust?
True.
And I think it's an underrated element. Coaches only play guys they can trust till their hands are forced.
And Yogi's done a big deep dive on the Pat League, by the way, as well.
Good,
so he's going to break down Lehigh's odd man fronts and all sorts of stuff like that.
Well, we got a bunch of games to get through here.
Yeah.
But since you mentioned USC, you were at practice yesterday. They're favored by 10. They're at home. They're against ASU. Do you have a lean in a game like this?
You know what? If Ed Orgeron was coaching USC, this feels like a really good Ed Orgeron week, but he shouldn't be coaching USC. But I'm going to go with, where is this game being played? Is
Games
that here?
At USC.
Oh.
It's
5:30.
USC always, even when they start slow, like last year when they started slow and inconsistent, it was obviously a very specific set of circumstances, but they used that Utah game to sort of regroup. And ASU's defense is such that it's a good time to regroup if you're USC's offense, because you can throw on ASU or you can move the ball on ASU. And I think USC is going to be all right. I think USC wins this game.
All right. I'm going to go ASU plus the points, because I think ASU can score even if they don't win. And 10 is still a lot against a USC team that, again, I don't know what expectations were. And Yogi, you're right to point that out. But there's been enough swirling out there that would lead me feeling less than confident in their ability to cover a spread like this. So I'll go ASU plus 10.
Yeah. I don't play the spread game because I don't really have that, but I pick SC in this game.
SC.
I think they're going to run the ball all over Arizona State. I do think Manny Wilkins, quietly, top 5 quarterback in the Pac-12 right now. He's playing really well.
First year starter. That's not bad.
He's good.
He can do a lot of unique things. He's the best quarterback in the Todd Graham era. I think he's better than Taylor Kelly and better than Berkovici.
Interesting. Okay.
We've got Utah at Cal. Yogi, you're calling this game. Cal's a 2-point favorite. You don't do the point spread thing, as you said. I was surprised to see that Cal is favored. Dan and I talked a little bit off air. He wasn't so much surprised just because the game is at Cal. Where is your head at regarding this matchup?
I haven't seen a quarterback in a good way be as casual as Davis Webb is on some throws. Sometimes he just gets the ball and he's just like, yeah, this is where it's going. I see you, 83. And he just throws it where it needs to be. Like, he almost looks like a quarterback that's sort of between college and the NFL. Like, he's not quite an NFL quarterback, but he's a little too comfortable to be playing with Cal players who are like decent college players.
So he's in football limbo.
He's in football limbo and just like a very he's like a supplemental draft player right now. And that's a really nice thing to have in a quarterback. So I think Utah, coming off of an emotional win against USC, that late win against USC, going to Cal, and Cal's defense has actually been, it's not great, but it's been okay at times. I'm going to go with Cal and an ability to throw the ball and score enough that Utah isn't going to be able to keep up with it for 4 quarters. I think Cal wins this game. I think Sonny Dykes and Davis Webb have a nice win. 35-31.
Yeah, I'm going Cal. Give me Cal.
What is interesting to you about this game, Yogi?
A lot. It's homecoming. It's gonna be an awesome sold out crowd. I think that, to your point of Davis, this is a Elite 11 Dilferism, but his eye discipline, his eye redirection discipline at times has lacked. So your point of like kind of being in limbo, sometimes he's been a little lackadaisical there. Like San Diego State, his pick late was that. His 2 picks, his last 2 throws or the 2 interceptions late in the game against ASU were that. He's going to see a defense that's going to change the picture almost every snap. They're going to rotate late. They're going to play man coverage, which is advantage Cal as well. Man coverage with obviously the receivers that have evolved and developed. The young guys over there. So I'm going to look at that, and then I'm going to see what Utah does in offense. If they can run the ball, they have the ball 38 minutes against SC.
Jeez.
Like if they can the way you beat spreads, right, is you take an up-tempo teams, just take possessions away. So if they can take 3 or 4 possessions away, then it's advantage for them. But those are the two sides of the ball that I'm going to be diving into.
All right.
Great.
We got 5 more games here. I'm going to rip through them, Dan, all right?
Okay.
Noon on Saturday, Miami -7 at Georgia Tech. Miami very quietly number 6 in Bill Connolly's S&P Plus rankings. They've been really good this year against the run. Georgia Tech last week, kind of a mess against Clemson. Granted, Clemson's got the top defense, but still, I like Miami here big. I'm willing to lay the 7 on the road. Miami -7. Give me them over Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I feel good about that. I agree. I'm not going to dive in too deep. Next game,
3:30, North Carolina at Florida State. Florida State, 11 points. The favorite, Dan, this one I think could be like another 267-yard game for Dalvin Cook, couldn't it?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, this North Carolina defense is not built for much. It is definitely not built for Florida State's run game.
Yeah, give me Florida State.
Yep, same. Agree.
Moving on, 5 p.m.
What do we got?
Oklahoma, -3.5 points, a road favorite against TCU. Nice little happy hour game for all y'all. Oklahoma's defense has been sneaky bad this year against the pass and at preventing big plays.
Who would you say they miss?
I would say they probably miss Zach Sanchez.
Zach Sanchez.
Not missed by the NFL, but missed by Oklahoma.
Yep.
Though it is somewhat debatable. I would say not so sneaky bad overall, just in terms of field position for Oklahoma. Really on both sides of the football, they are losing the field position battle. So I'm feeling a big game coming at you. For Taj Williams and Kevontae Turpin, TCU, I can't quit you. Give me the Frogs outright, 45-40 in a wild one.
Yeah, for a defense that has struggled to open the season up, they did look good last week against SMU, and the offense was sort of sluggish. But I'm going to go Oklahoma here.
Yeah, okay.
As our friend Bill C. mentioned, Oklahoma basically played Houston evenly other than that kick 6. Just in terms of what they were able to produce against a good Houston defense for a majority of that game. And they lost to Ohio State. And everybody's going to lose to Ohio State.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we have a full accurate gauge on Oklahoma against basically the field other than these 2 playoff teams to varying extents. So I think Oklahoma here is able to get their act together. And they're what? Oklahoma's coming off of a bye week, correct?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the Sooners here. I think the Sooners cover this game on the road, even though it is a revenge spot for TCU. I'm going to say Oklahoma wins this game by a touchdown. And you know what, Ty? Lock it up.
Lock of the week.
That's bold, going Oklahoma on the road, Dan.
I'm saucy.
7:30, Missouri on the road at LSU. LSU is a 13-point favorite. It's Coach Orgeron's first game as the trusty emergency uncle. That line is not mine. I believe it belongs to Jason Kirk or one of the others from Shutdown Fullcast. His first game at LSU is at home. It's at night. It's against the SEC Angel of Death, also not my line. That belongs to Bill Connolly.
Yep.
My gut here says go LSU. I think they get their act together, so naturally that means I should go opposite in Missouri plus 13, and that's what I'm going to do.
I'm going to go Missouri plus 13 as well, but I think LSU looks sharp in winning this game in a new look Tiger, or at least a slightly new look Tiger game.
And finally, 8 p.m., Michigan State -7 on the road at Indiana. Dan, Indiana's defense has been secretly decent this year.
That's true.
They were maimed last week by the claw fence.
That's the problem.
But that happens to
Indiana's
the best
defense has been good, just not great against Wake.
Not great against the claw fence at Wake Forest.
Right.
But they get Michigan State a week after that home loss. Maybe a little body blow theory. Maybe a bit of a letdown. Perhaps Indiana rides the wave of being the Yakos home dog of the week.
The Yakos home dog of the week.
Maybe the Hoosiers keep it close at home. Yeah, give me Indiana plus the 7.
I'm going to take Michigan State. You're disrespecting them, and I am here to hold that respect flag.
All right. Before we go any further and close out the show, we have one final word of sponsor from our good friends over at Harry's, Dan. I use Harry's every third day.
That's your rate?
That's the growth rate that I go for. It's the growth rate that doesn't seem to offend too many people at the mysterious day job.
Okay.
I use Harry's. I use their razor. It gives me the closeness, the smoothness, the comfortable glide that I expect from my razor.
Yeah.
I've tried other shaving solutions. As I've said countless times, I love the razor that Harry's puts forth. The other ones, I feel like I'm shaving with a 747. Harry's is smooth. It's sleek. It gives me a nice, reliable shave.
Yeah, and you're on the record. You go head to toe with Harry's.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, no, you are. It's like a shiny mirror.
I'm like a seal, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's... Continue. I like that you really bought into it.
Thank you. I steered right in.
Yeah.
They are German-engineered blades with a lubricating strip. They've got a flex hinge for a comfortable glide. They've also got a trimmer blade on them for those hard-to-reach places.
Mm.
And
Like a seal.
a weighted ergonomic handle, Dan. You can get all this for $2 a blade. That's compared to $4 or more that you'll pay at a drugstore. $16 you'll save every time you buy an 8-pack from Harry's. Plus additional savings if you subscribe to the shave plan. So here's the way it works. They are so confident that you're going to appreciate the quality of their blades that they'll send you their free popular trial set, which comes with a razor, a 5-blade cartridge, and shaving gel. It's free when you sign up for a shave plan. All you got to do is pay shipping. Plus, there's a special offer now for fans of our show. If you enter the code SOLID at checkout to get a post-shave balm added to your order for free. How about that?
Great.
Love a good balm.
Keep that seal look alive.
That's right. Go to harrys.com right now. Enter the code SOLID at checkout. Claim your free trial set and post-shave balm. That's right now. Harrys, HARRYS.com. The code you'll want to use is SOLID, SOLID.
And just to clarify, you said like a seal, or did you say like seal, the singer?
No, I'm talking like the marine life, the mammal.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. I just didn't know how much you knew about seals grooming.
But Seal, at least on the top of his head,
very clean.
May be using Harry's as well.
Who's to say he doesn't?
Okay. That's all I got for today, Dan.
Okay. I have a very slight request. The show has gone on long enough.
Yeah.
I need you to drop that bouncing, jiggling, enlarged.
Enlarged? What?
Enlarged.
Okay.
Drum and fife.
That was definitely the first time you've gone enlarged with it.
Enlarged.
Yeah.
Georgetown on the road at Harvard. I'm going Georgetown sight unseen because, listen, in the Pat Ivy matchups, you got to do what's right, and what's right is Georgetown.
It's a Friday night game, Friday Night Lights. I believe Georgetown is in the others receiving votes category, which is about as deep a dive as I take on Pat League games.
They were really bad like 2 years ago. Good for them.
So give me the Hoyas. Yeah, on the road. Why not?
Yeah, going away from the friendly confines of multi-sport field. Fordham Monmouth. Fordham leaving the Bronx to take on Monmouth. And I do have some happy memories of Monmouth. I've been to the racetrack there, but got to go with New York's one true team, Fordham Rams. Ty, I'm going Fordham big.
Yeah, how big? Enlarged?
Enlarged. 41-20.
41-20. Why not go 51-20?
Because I don't play that game.
Give me the Rams. Give me the Rams.
Cornell Colgate. The Nellies against the Gators.
Yeah. Colgate's pretty good, actually.
Play.
Colgate
is pretty good.
Yeah, I'm going to go Colgate.
I'm going with Colgate as well. Cornell, I guess it's not a Pat League matchup because Cornell's in the Ivy League, but Colgate's pretty good. I'm going Gators here.
Cornell has a great logo, though, with the bear hugging the sea. It's very ferocious.
Are they the Big Red?
Yeah, the Big Red.
They're the Big Red. Okay, Lehigh Yale, Pat Ivy at Yale in New Haven. Lehigh with the advantage because Solid Wife went there.
Yeah.
Yale with the advantage, much better pizza town, New Haven. I'm going Lehigh here. Going Mount
Hawks.
Yeah.
Wow.
Going Engineers. Yeah.
As a Lafayette guy.
Yeah, it's mutual respect within the Pat League and anti-Ivy fervor.
It's like how the SEC folks all root for other SEC teams in bowl season.
Yeah, well, the Pat League fans, they all chant PAT, which is very confusing.
Yeah.
In situations in which point after kicks are not in play.
Right,
and finally,
Lehigh.
the Crusaders. Yeah, I'm going Lehigh as well. Crusaders traveling to Lafayette.
Ooh, this is a tough one for you.
It is tough. I do like the Crusaders a whole bunch. And obviously, shouts to our Crusader verballer, Caroline?
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
I believe so.
Caroline, but you got to go Leopard up here. You got to go Leps. Lafayette having a decent little season, stringing together some drives. I'm going Leopards here by 10. Let's go 34-24 Lafayette.
Okay. I ride.
You ride.
I ride with our Crusader friends on the verbal.
Oh,
Give me
boo.
Holy Cross, yeah.
And Ty, while we're on it, a special thank you to Barry J. Reed, John Haggard, Blaine Parsons. Great name, Ty. Blaine Parsons.
Yeah.
Royce Butler. We love Rolls Royce. Michael Bauer. Sarah Alcorn. Fun fact about Sarah Alcorn, Ty.
Yeah.
Her friend, this is what she told us, had dreams about us.
Really?
Yeah. Did you see this tweet? They had dreams.
I might have missed that one. I don't know.
They have dreams about us. There was a text message, screen grab. They have dreams about us, and we loved them. Adam Stobart, Jerry Lambdin, Nate Olson, Pat Baloney. Real name, Pat Baloney, I hope. Rob Zuccarelli, which, God, I love that name, Rob Zuccarelli. Braden Hodges, Jareed Bird, Aaron Sanchez, Matt Connolly, and, of course, Ty We Ride. Oh, do we ride? Well, Brandon McKissick.
All right. Good show here.
And thanks to Yogi Roth.
Yeah, thank you to Mr. Roth.
Yeah.
For lending us his studio space, Dan. You sound a little punchy. I know it's been a long day for you. You will be back on the East Coast tomorrow after your red eye this evening.
Yep.
We will get this show posted a little later on Wednesday evening. We appreciate everyone hanging around. A little bit of a longer show, but a lot of fun. Thank you again, I reiterate, to our friend Yogi Roth for providing some actual analysis on this show.
Yeah.
Thank you to everyone who continues to download and support and tell their friends about the verbal. Every little bit helps. We always are watching. We do appreciate all the kind things you say and all the times you help guide our coverage here on the show. Don't forget to call in at 408-VERBAL-1 as you're watching college football week 5. For that guy all the way over there on the left coast, my good friend Dan Rubenstein. For myself here, Ty Hildebrand in good old Eastern Pennsylvania. Enjoy the games. Enjoy your weekend. Stay solid.
Peace.